morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Blue Blood on the Main Line. I'm your host, Curtis Sumpter, and I'll be here joined by Joe Juliano, a former Philadelphia Inquirer beat writer, someone who covered Villanova my freshman year, someone who also covered the Sixers for a few years, and now is retired, enjoying the good life. So Joe, if I missed anything, please share with the fans and give them a little bit of background about yourself.
Okay, thanks, Curtis. Good to be with you this morning. I joined the Inquirer in 1985. My retirement comes 36 years after. Had a lot of different beats over the years. College sports was my main beat, probably. Doing college football, college basketball. Did Villanova the year. They had a really good year in the mid to late 90s. I can't remember the exact year. They all went together, but I always enjoyed working with Andy Talley, the Villanova football coach, who was always around campus, I know. Basketball, I started Villanova beat in the late 90s with Steve Lapis as the coach, and then covered the transition from Steve to Jay Wright. Covered Jay for the first 2 years, and then went to the Sixers beat in 2003. Covered them for 4 seasons. They only made playoffs 1 year, so it wasn't so good, but you got to cover Allen Iverson every day, and that was always an adventure. You never knew what kind of mood AI was in. Sometimes he was in a great mood and would talk until, they'd force him to the locker room and say, "Come on, AI, we got to go." Right. And other times he would just kind of like say, "Nah, I ain't talking today. Sorry, you guys." So, and our readers obviously loved AI. I mean, he was just, he was a special guy only because, you always wondered like if he was going to show up on time or for a game. But once the game started, I mean, the guy was just sensational. I mean, between the lines, he had this great saying, "I play every game like it's my last." And, I've actually taken that advice up as a professional, like thinking, I'm going to cover every game like it's my last, or I'm going to cover this event. Like I remember when I was you guys won the championship, obviously, in 2016 and 2018. My last Final Four was 2019 with Virginia. Yes. And I really was at that Final Four thinking, this is probably my last Final Four. I'm going to cover it like it's my last Final Four. And it was, but that was like great. That great philosopher Iverson gave me that advice. So, but, and then 2008, I got back on the Nova beat and did it every year until this year. My last game was the December 21st game against Xavier, and Coach Wright was kind enough to, I still remember, he was on a Zoom call for post game after the Xavier game, and he says, well, my opening statement is that Joe Juliano was like a great writer, great to have on the beat, always told the truth, always only gave you the facts, very fair, honest reporter. And the rest of my opening statement is, we played a great game. Questions? Like, he hardly talked about the game. He talked about me, which is like major embarrassing. I mean,
No, that's what Coach does. Coach definitely doesn't forget the little things, and he understands, there's people have moments in their life. And for example, like your retirement, that's something that you're excited about, you're looking forward to someone else, they might look over it, but that's something Coach would definitely highlight, because all the hard work, like you said, 40, 50 plus years doing this, you've made it to your goal. Everyone wants to pretty much to have a career for that long and be able to retire. So him giving you that love and respect is something that he'll always do. And he's really, 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 really good at that. And he meant it as well.
Oh, I know he meant it. I mean, we go back to when he was an assistant for Coach Massimino. I mean, that's how far back. Before I worked at the Inquirer starting in 1985, I worked with a wire service called United Press International, and I got to do plenty of games of all the Big Five teams, not just Villanova. And I met this young assistant coach working for Coach Mass named Jay Wright, and he always remembered who I was, even when he would come in with his Hofstra team back in the 90s. He always remembered us, and we always, we always thought Coach was a cool guy, so we always wanted to give around. Hey, Coach, remember us? we covered you when you were an assistant with Coach Mass. Oh yeah, I remember you guys.
Yeah.
So he may not have,
Cool,
but
right?
he humored us.
He's so cool. I mean, I remember him as a young coach at Hofstra, and doing the recruiting process. And before he even started recruiting me, just looking at this guy like, that's a coach. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at all the other college coaches I see come around on TV, and I look at Jay Wright, and I'm like, he can't be a coach. Like, he has to be like an agent or something. Like, he's deeper. He goes a lot deeper in the game of basketball than just coaching Hofstra. Like, Hofstra has to be like a front or something. Like, this guy's energy, everything about him is different. And for about maybe 2 years, I watched him, and I loved Hofstra because Hofstra was playing the best basketball of anyone in the city at the time for 2 years, and go to the games, Speedy Claxton, and just watching him, like, how is this guy, doing such a great job at Hofstra? Young, vibrant, energy, charismatic, family. I remember watching Colin. Colin must have been like 3 years old. I don't even know. Like, it was just amazing just seeing him. And then once he got the job at Villanova, I felt more comfortable allowing the process to go through, because I felt like he had Villanova, backing him, a Big East school backing him. But when it came to person and then everything else that fall on the line, like behind that, I was, Team Jay Wright from day one. It was just not knowing what I know now, knowing that doesn't matter, where you go to school, as long as you have a leader there that's going to help direct you. And that's one thing Coach Wright does, is he builds brands. He built the brand of Hofstra, left it in great hands. Coach Mahalik, and now Coach Claxton. And then now, being at Villanova, I can see him retiring. And then when he's done, the program and the brand continuing to flourish. So I felt like I felt his energy, and that's why it was easy for him to recruit me. I think the biggest thing for me with him, and my fear in the beginning, more so, was just where he was going to be coaching. Because at that time, being naive, being young, it was all about the school, essentially. It was about playing on Monday, big Mondays, and CBS on Saturdays. You were thinking like that. And Hofstra wasn't getting those games, even though Hofstra was on local TV and they were very, very good. I mean, I kid you not. I was going to Hofstra games over St. John's games. I kid you not. So I'm just glad it all worked out, Joe. And I'm glad you got a chance to experience that early on. Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with BetRivers yet, now's the time, because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. What sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With the new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is faster, safer, and more secure and more reliable. With conference play underway, get in the action today by going to betrivers.com today, or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older, or if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. So, Joe, tell me about you covering Coach Wright's first game. How did that go?
Oh, wow.
Do you remember where you were?
Not exactly, but I do remember it was the 0-1. You know what I do remember, Curtis? In 2001, March of 2001, Philadelphia had the NCAA East Regional at the Wells Fargo. Well, I don't know what it was called back then. Wells Fargo Center, First Union Center, whatever it was called.
Center.
Yeah, right. Wachovia Center, whatever. But the actual news of the day, like, we had come back. The games were Thursday and Saturday, I remember. Friday, we did the practices. We did the interviews. Talked to Coach at the USC, was Henry Bibby at the time. So I was going back home to do my story, and then I heard, Villanova is going to bring Jay Wright in. They've just signed him to a contract to be the new head coach. And I'm like, what? Like, so not only was life busy enough with covering the regional, but now the Villanova news jumped over the news. I mean, this was a national championship they were playing for, but oh no, Jay Wright's the new Villanova coach, that handsome guy from the Villanova days of the 80s, and then a real success at Hofstra.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that went through my head was, I felt bad for Coach Lapis. I mean, Steve and I go way back. But Villanova felt that if they didn't grab Jay Wright, then he was going to go to Rutgers, and that was going to be an opportunity missed. Mm-hmm. So they reached a settlement with Coach Lapis, and then Jay came in for the press conference. It was a Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. The games didn't start till like 4:30 in the afternoon. So here we are at Villanova covering Jay Wright, going, man, this is really something. So, but it was just a matter of him, and he was great. I mean, he killed the press conference. I mean, Villanova people who were there, and it was in the Pavilion press room back in the old day, when it was the old Pavilion, and people were just like looking at each other, going, "Geez, this is like great." We got this like young.
It's like you saw it coming. Like, you know what? I see it. Like Coach Wright definitely gonna make a change here. And like you said, Coach Lapp was great there. The university obviously wanted to make a move. I actually started getting recruited by Coach Lapp and Coach Jones, Villanova, but I just wasn't too familiar with Coach Lapp and Villanova. Yeah. But again, when Coach Wright got there, and I just felt like, you know what, Villanova might could be somewhere, where myself and others, we can go and try to build something. But you mentioned he was going to take the Rutgers job, because we spoke and he said, I'm taking the Rutgers job. And I was hurt. Like, that was good news for him, bad news for me. In my mind, I'm like, Rutgers. I'm like, oh, Coach, you just lost me. Like, there's no way I'm ever pulling up, to a Rutgers campus and playing for Rutgers. And I want to say days later, I don't know, a day or two, hey, I'm going to be taking a Villanova job. I'm like, Coach, wait, what just happened? Wasn't you taking a Rutgers job? Now you're at Villanova. I'm like, wait, what just happened? Isn't the other coach? And then I'm like, wait, well, Joe Jones is there. And I like Joe Jones as an assistant. Joe and I got very, very close, and I actually had him on the show. And my first initial thinking was like, oh my God, Joe's not going to be there anymore, new coach. And he was like, no, Joe actually used to work with me, and Hofstra and me and Joe have a great relationship. So I was like, what? Two coaches that I like in the same place. Let me look at Villanova more. My mom worked in financial district, Goldman Sachs, and ton of Villanova people in the financial district down there.
Definitely,
she met. And once the word got out that Villanova was recruiting me, it was just like family. It was just a huge thing. And she was like looking at me like, I know you have all these other top schools, but you got to start thinking life after basketball. And Villanova runs everything. That's what she was saying. I'm like, who? I'm like, but we got North Carolina, we got UConn. I'm like, I love Coach Wright, but Villanova, like, I'm thinking about the school. She's like, listen, Curtis, I'm telling you, like, Villanova, Villanova degree can carry you much, much further than those other institutions. And, I'm glad she saw it, because I'm not going to go against my mom. She didn't tell me I had to go to Villanova, but she gave me some really, really, really great advice. And I'm glad I took her up on it. And, everything has been great since.
Well, that's great. Yeah. The early days, I remember the transition was kind of rough at times. And then of course we had the phone code thing where, and I know that was a little embarrassing for Villanova, but
yeah, you covered that, I'm sure. You were there that season.
I like covering basketball. I don't like covering, oh geez, all these kids got in trouble. What happened?
Right.
Why wasn't Coach Wright on top of this? That kind of thing. So
it was crazy. It was crazy, Joe. And again, and I'm glad the NCAA really did their investigation and their homework to understand that our class, a lot of classes, really walked into a situation just really not knowing what was really going on, and kind of just fell victim to something that was going on for a long time. And at the end of the day, it was no scandal. Whenever something comes out, it's always going to say scandal.
Oh, sure, definitely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was no scandal. It was just, hey, can I call my mom?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to my mom in a couple days. Can I call my dad? Let him know I'm okay.
Sure.
You know, at the time, cell phone bill, you know, things were crazy. Minutes, class, practice. You get a moment here and there where you actually can call home and let them know you're doing okay. Hey, coach, can I just go off so quick and call home? Yeah, sure, you got no problem. Like, you know, and then when you start to see how innocent these things really were, it wasn't no theft or things, then you start to understand, like, okay, like it wasn't a bad thing. And then they did a good job as far as handing out the punishments or whatever it may be. But
they
again,
spread
to
it
the
around.
masses, to the masses, it will look like something else. But I love the way Villanova handled it.
Yeah.
Because as a freshman, as soon as you come into a college stage and you get hit with that and ESPN and you just thinking your reputation, everything is just tarnished.
Yeah.
You're thinking people looking at you differently now. But Villanova, the community, after doing the best, they understood what was going on, understood it was a lot of, everybody was pretty much innocent in all of this. And they handled it well and gave us confidence that, we didn't do anything wrong, continue to be good people, continue to do what we do.
Yeah.
And I think but it also helped us as a team as well. I think it helped coach as a coach.
Sure.
Because we were always undermanned for like maybe 6 games or 7 games from the ending of my freshman year into the beginning of my sophomore year. And it opened up, the room for other people to develop a little bit more, put people in different places. So a lot of good came from that too.
Yeah, of course. Say. Yeah. My question is, do you still stay in touch with the guys in your recruiting class? Jason, A-Ray, Randy?
All the time. I mean, we are best friends. That brotherhood will never, ever diminish. Our talks, to going to Villanova and trying to go somewhere to build something, to build a Duke, to build a North Carolina, to build a Kansas. Those are the talks we were talking about in high school. And we knew, and talking to Coach Wright and having full transparency, we understood that we might not make it and make it to a Final Four or win a championship while we were there. But the hard work we put in, the foundation we set, the attention we could bring into the program, helping recruiting players after us, making Villanova a cool place to be at, making Villanova attractive to other top recruits. That was our responsibility, as well as try to be the best student athletes we can be. And by doing that, the program has continued to attract some of the best talent, some of the best coaches, some of the best academic students. Like Villanova is a very, very attractive place to be at now. And I know it because I can walk into any lid store now and get a Villanova hat. And that's when you know you made it. You can go in the lid store, anywhere, and you're not just looking at the teams that's in that market. You see a Villanova hat up in there. And that's, that's why I measure, some of our success by.
Oh, man, that's great. I never thought of that. Hey, we're a success. Our hat's in the store.
Hats is in lids. I mean, lids only produce what's in that market. You can't go to Philly and get a Yankee or a Jets hat anywhere. But, you can definitely get a Villanova hat anywhere in the lids now. So,
oh, that's great. That's great. The other thing I was asking, wanted to ask you, Curtis, is obviously you had your share of injury issues. What was that like to kind of just, have to, watching your guys playing on the court and you're on the sideline? What was that experience like, and what did you learn from it?
A lot of patience. Became even more humble. And I want to say those 2 characteristics: a lot of patience, understanding that, the things you might want, desire, can be taken away from you right then and there. So, always being prepared for good or bad. Always try to prepare for success, but understand that there's a chance that things may go the other way. Having backup plans, looking at things through different lenses. It was definitely a very difficult time, especially as being young, as I was, not having many experiences in life, obstacles, real challenges. So that was my biggest challenge. I didn't know how to really understand. As an older man now, I can look back and see, where I might have went wrong. But I want to say what helped me most is that I was surrounded by just great people. Yes, watching my team win and practice was it was painful. You want to be out there, but Coach Wright, Jeff Pierce, Father Rob, our strength and conditioning coach, Mark Crutchfield, our other strength and conditioning coach, Watts, Jeff Watts, all these men, really, I felt like they coveted me. They brought me, they kept me where I needed to be mentally, where I needed to be focused, because 2 back-to-back ACLs, leaving after your junior year, all these things that were going into fruition for you, basically seeing your dreams starting to appear in front of you, USA team selection, and have an opportunity to go on to the next level just kind of was halted. So those guys who've seen it happen before, who've been in the business and watch injuries, they helped guide me through that time period, because I was lost. Honestly, I was lost. And I don't remember much, from it. It was real trauma. If you want to say it was real trauma, but I just remember just being around great people. And from that moment on, I've always said, I want to try to continue to help people who find themselves in an uncomfortable space. And that's just what I've been doing, no matter where it is, what it is, if I can help them, because there's mental, the mental illness is tough. You see a lot of, athletes now talk about it. It's a thing now, but you couldn't talk about it then. You couldn't. It was, right. I don't know if it was a sign of weakness or whatever it may be, but it's real. And depression sets in, and, I had to figure all that out on my own, so I'm sure I got some kinks I still need to figure out, but ultimately, I figured it out on my own. I was able to continue on and be strong, and then get through that tough time and look at it now and say, you know what, if I can help someone, I will. And being involved with the Sixers for a little bit, I was able to help Joel mentally. Someone who got drafted, was going to be the number 1 pick, and then as soon as he got drafted, gets hurt. And they talk about him never playing in the NBA again, never having opportunity, career done, bust, whatever you want to call it. And that was my opportunity to sit with him for 2 years and talk to him about, my experience. And I said, hey, Joe, I never made it to the NBA. I said, but I was like possibly right there when all of this happened. I said, you actually got your name called, and then all of this has happened, but you're still here. So try to just, mentally stay with it, because it's easily, it's easy to mentally check out, injury, people saying things about you, and being young, not understanding how to handle that. So I felt that was my opportunity to really talk to him and work with him for 2 years and try to get him mentally. Just don't worry about what you're reading, what people say. Just focus on just trying to be who you are, which is he's an amazing person. And just try to focus on just getting as healthy as you possibly can, and then try to accept the opportunity that was given to you. If you minimize it like that and not worry about everything else, you'll find yourself heading in the right direction. And when I watch him now, I'm just so excited to see him flourishing, potential MVP candidate, because everyone counted him out for 2 years, 2 foot injuries. And this is what I talk to him about every day. So I'm glad to see him doing well.
Good, man. That's good. And great work. Great working with him, I'll bet. That had to be something.
I learned so much. So you covered so many Villanovans. Who was your favorite guys to watch?
That's a dangerous question.
No, it's not, man, because they're all good guys, man. I'm sure.
Oh, I know. I'll tell you, Curtis, the one thing was, it was always great talking to a Villanova, a young man who played basketball for Villanova. I mean, you guys were all pretty much the same. I don't know how you came into Villanova, like maybe cocky, some of you, maybe like you're going to set the world on fire. But I never really heard that when I talked to your athletes. I mean, I never heard, like, it was all, I mean, I don't know if Coach Wright put you all in a room for 3 hours and made you sweat and said, all right, this is how you're going to be when you're talking to the media. I mean, I never had a bad, I mean, all right, there are kids who are shy and really don't want to say a lot, and they'll just give you the stock answer. I mean, we should have, us veteran writers of Villanova know that we could have a drinking contest every time somebody said Villanova basketball. We're playing Villanova basketball. You know, oh, what is Villanova basketball? It's playing hard for 40 minutes, playing with pride, playing with this, playing with that. I mean, I could, you know, and Jay always would look at us and go,
Robot.
this is what we do, you know, and the writers are like, well, in fact, Mike Sheridan, you're the sports
Mike is my
director.
guy.
He sent me a text before my last game, and he said, yeah, Joey says, yeah, I think we got some things planned for you, but remember, before that, it's still you still got to go 40 minutes of Villanova basketball. I just laughed. I thought that was so funny. But yeah, your guys are just, I mean, amazing. I mean, a guy I've really come to like over the years covering him of the recent teams is Jermaine Samuels. I mean, I think the guy is like, and I remember one time, Coach Wright was a little down on him, and Mrs. Wright was like, "Oh, he's a great kid. Come on, you know, give him a break. You know, don't be so tough on him." You know, she really liked Jermaine, and I could see why. I mean, the guy's got such a gentle, kind manner, and sometimes he goes by the script, but when he's just being Jermaine, it's a great. I did a very nice interview with him. You know, when everybody was out in Indianapolis last year for the Final Four, you know, all stuck in their hotel rooms. You know, I didn't get a chance to go out there, but Mike arranged a few interviews for me, and Jermaine was fantastic. I mean, he was just a really good young man. You know, I want to say kid. I mean, but everybody's a kid to me these days. Even you're a kid to me these days, Kurt. You're a grown-up man, but yeah, I mean, just these guys that you know, come down the pike. Josh Hart, you know, another guy that sticks in my head. Ryan Arch. I mean, you know, he was the first one. Daniel Oshefu. Scotty Reynolds. I mean, you know, Scotty might have been my favorite because Scotty would always talk to you, and he would always come up with something new and different, and you know, not just the usual road. And I'm not being critical of any kids that want to
I know what you
follow
mean.
the script. I know that's that's an uncomfortable thing for a lot of kids, is to say, well, you know, I really don't want to talk. I don't really have anything interesting to say, or I'm afraid I might embarrass myself or whatever. No, we're not in the business of embarrassing you. We just want to talk. But yeah, but your kids are great. I mean, I've really never had a problem.
You mentioned that, and I still myself talk about, you know, 40 minutes, playing hard, together, smart, with pride, all those things you mentioned. But honestly, it's not a script, it's a belief, you know, and I want to say he got Hofstra to buy in. He got his program Hofstra to buy in, and the Villanova, it started with myself. It started with Jay Frey. It started with Alan Ray. It started with Randy Foy. It started with Baker Dunleavy. It started with Mike Claxton. Because when he recruited us, again, the team that was there, the seniors and juniors, they weren't his class. So again, he was going to be as fair as he could, coach them as much as he could, but understood that certain things, I guess, that he wanted was probably unfair. You know, for them, he wanted seniors especially to have a good senior year. You know, no one wants, you know, a coaching change in their senior year or their junior year. Like, that's pretty late in the game. So I think Coach, being a good person, understands and put a little humanization to it. Like, understand that this is a job, but at the same time, these kids came under here being coached under someone else, having dreams, and the plan has changed. How can I still get the most out of them, but still not maybe deviate their plans so much, but also try to insert myself in the things that I got going on? And I think it was definitely a challenge for him. And I think he definitely did a good job with it. But my freshman year, he was definitely harder on us than he was everyone else. And he would say, because you guys are going to be here. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are going to get, and it was just teaching us and having us understand the commitment of team, because we had a lot of really good individual players. We were all good people, but we were all like one-on-one players, literally all one-on-one players. The style Coach Wright plays now, we struggle. We struggle playing the pass, extra pass, bounce. That was 25 turnovers for us. Easy. He was like, we got to figure this out. Why are we turning the ball over? So maybe if we don't pass as much, maybe we have little rules and certain guys play to their strengths, then, we started seeing some more success. But that's his coach making an adjustment and understanding the type of guys he had and what was best for the team. But as far as the foundation, he never, like, you couldn't step foot on that floor if you didn't play, if he didn't think you could play 40 minutes of hard basketball, playing smart, together, with pride, like all those things. And he would say it every single day. And if you didn't do something, you were wondering why you didn't play, you understood you weren't doing something on that pyramid, that he had, or something that was valuable to the program. So I think it's embedded in everyone that if I'm not out here playing, it's because I'm not doing one of these things. And also my teammate is looking at me as well. Like, I want to be there for my teammate, not let them down. And they don't want to let me down. And the brotherhood is real. And I think that's why you hear it so much. And it's funny because I'm almost 30 years old. And again, I still talk about it. And it's a language that I feel like is universal, because it doesn't matter which era you play with Jay Wright. When it's time to talk basketball, we understand exactly where we're coming from, what's going on. And it's great. Honestly, it really is good. And I love to hear guys believe in that, because you have to believe in it. If you're saying it like that with conviction, you honestly believe in it, and you're going to follow through.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. I mean, covering for all these years, we kind of joke about it, me and some of the other veteran writers, but, we know it's genuine and it's sincere, and,
it's funny,
and we've seen that, Villanova brotherhood over the years. Coach has another saying, I guess, once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat. I guess that's a big
so
thing.
True.
And it's been interesting to watch over the years, and it's helped too that you guys have had success. So it's like,
that's
it's
what
validates
everything, when you start having success, because coach can tell you, this is what you got to do. You gotta, you gotta tap at the stone, tap at the rock. You have to constantly just, make efforts every day. But again, you won't believe that until you start seeing some success. And it was little, bits and pieces of success that we saw. My freshman year, I felt like we saw some success during the phone card scandal, so to speak, when we had to play 6 scholarship players or whatever it may be. Even though we lost those games, we were able to see myself, Alan, Randy, Jason, Mike, Baker, those 6 play minutes and lose against Pitt, number 2 in the country, by maybe 2 or 3 points. Lose to Georgetown, Big East team powerhouse at that time, by just a few points. Lose to Siena, who wound up making, I think, maybe the Final Four in the NIT that year, just by a few points. Like, all these great teams, you saw these young freshmen be able to pretty much compete. So you saw growth, and was the expectation for sophomore year was like, oh yeah, we can't wait. And then when that year came, I think it gave us a lot of confidence going to that year. I think it gave coach a lot of confidence too. Like, all right, I know if I at least got these guys and we get some other pieces, we can be okay. And then the addition of Mike Nardi and Will Sheridan, I mean, if you want to coach, that was probably Coach Wright's best GM move, if you want to call that.
Sure.
Like, Mike Nardi was the ultimate complimentary player, leader, dog. And Will Sheridan, I can't say many great things about him. The type of person, he's our Jermaine Samuels, if that's what you want to call That guy, great guy, but leaves it all out there on the floor, night in and night out. He's your Allen Iverson, plays every game like his last. He's going to give his body up. And it just made all of us a great team. And I guess when you had those pieces and we're learning how Coach Wright wants us to play and the program, the tradition that he's trying to set, play hard, smart, together with pride. We believed in it. We had to believe in it first. We had to hold each other accountable. And Coach left it on us to basically reciprocate that message to everyone who was underneath us, any class underneath us, and held us accountable for that. If somebody else ain't do something, he was coming to me. He was coming to Allen. He was coming to Randy. You guys better fix that, putting that leadership responsibility on us. I mean, at the time, he said we were the youngest captains ever. And then when I went back to coach, Ryan Arch broke that because Ryan Arch was a freshman captain, so I was like, oh, he broke the mold. Like, he had 3 sophomore captains of the team, but now you got a freshman that's a captain. But he challenges you every day, and that's the thing, man. It's a challenge every day, and you can't be scared to be challenged. That's one thing, I learned from Villanova. I don't care what is put in front of me. I don't care if the obstacle looks like it might, I can't meet it. I'm gonna go after it. I'm gonna try and not feel disappointed if I don't meet it, because I know the effort that I'll put in it. 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because we've seen that over the years, or I've seen that over the years. Putting all the heat on the captains. I remember being at the Final Four, and let's face it, a Final Four is like the ultimate stage, and Coach Wright, handles that ultimate stage better than anybody. I still remember 2016 going to Houston, and Coach does his first press conference, and a couple of maybe 3 or 4 friends of mine come up to me like separately after he finishes talking, and they go, "Joe, is he always like this?" I go, "Well, yeah, he is." But it's funny though, a lot of people, when there's players on the dais as well as Coach Wright, some writers who don't know any better will say, "So, Ryan, what's it like to play for Coach Wright? Is he like as nice?" And the players don't want to hear anything about Coach Wright and nice in the same sentence. Yeah. He knows that Coach will always be on them to play, better. It doesn't matter what you do in practice. Tomorrow you're going to be better no matter what. And it's always funny hearing the kids kind of stammer around, not wanting to be disrespectful, but well, yeah, Coach is he's a good guy, but he's tough. They're trying to be as diplomatic as possible.
I think he's gotten so much better with it. In the sense of, we used to call him like baby Bob Knight, right? Baby Bob Knight, right? But it was because you would hear stories of Bob Knight, right? But you never would see Coach Wright do anything, nothing remotely in that fashion of what you would hear about the things Bob Knight would do. But as far as his intensity, as far as his passion, like the words I'm using, these adjectives to describe him, intense. Like I said, he's passionate, and you have to understand which one is which, and what is he trying to explain to you. Is he being passionate, right? When he's explaining this to you, is he upset? Is he, where is these words coming from, this place? And I think as you get to know him, you understand what it is. Like, Coach wants you to have the same attitude. One thing he would say is that you guys got to be an extension of me out there. And it's not so much you hear, the point guard is an extension of the coach.
Yeah, sure.
But no, he would say, like, no, all you guys got to be an extension of me. You guys got to be out there just as passionate as I am. You guys got to be out there playing with that same intensity that I'm coaching and having with you guys. And I think we saw that, and we loved that. Like, I loved seeing Coach Wright fired up, because you ain't going to see him get fired up. Like behind the scenes in practice, oh yeah, he fired up. But the game time, I mean, you could probably come down the lane, dunk on 4 or 5 people, score 40 in a row. Coach would just be like, like, good job. So to see him on the sideline with any type of real emotion just fuels the team even more. you know, because you understand, but you see that intensity every day in practice. And you know, if you don't do something, he's going to correct you. He's going to teach you. He's going to teach you. It's not just a reprimand, or he's going to teach you over and over and over and over again. And again, like, he has patience, but you better have some patience too, because if you don't get it, you better have a lot of patience by sitting down. You know what I mean? So it's a give take. It's a give take.
Yeah.
But how he's very transparent and information, like, all these things work. And I think that's why you start to see some of the young men that come through there. They get experiences of real life encounters, things like conversations, things that's going to happen once they leave Villanova. They get those. They get it right then and there, and they get full transparency right then and there, and it gets handled like a real situation would get handled once you leave college. Because the real world is not nice. You know, you're dealing with ton of people who don't care about you. You know, coach is going to care about you. The staff is going to care about you. They made a commitment to you and your parents to do the best, to groom the best possible man you can be, you know, during that time that they have you, and try to teach you as much as they can. So, the Villanova community is awesome. The coach, again, if you see him fired up on a sideline, oh man, I can't tell you that the team is even more fired up, because again, we don't see that often. Yeah, I mean? So it's just great, because we want to have that personality of Coach Wright, you know, when we're out there on the court.
Yeah, I want to tell you a fired up story. Actually, it's since they redid the pavilion, we used to be on at the court side. The press would be allowed at court side, and we'd always have a good view of the game and the coaches and it's just everything that was going on. And in the new pavilion, they moved us to the corner of the arena in like an upper level. And that's, there's no complaints. I mean, the vantage point is still good, but from where I sit, the basket support gets in the way of me seeing Coach Wright prowling the sidelines, yelling at refs and players alike. So it's kind of hard for me to say, Jay was really upset about that last play or that last call, because I can't see. Unless he goes out of the box toward the scores table and starts yelling at a ref, going, how could you make that call, type of thing. So that was that. I kind of wish that I was in a better vantage point to watch the show on the sideline.
I'm sure he has a much better relationship to refs now, because his first 2 years, that was one of the things. We was like, man, we can't get no respect out here. You was like, we gotta earn it, man. We gotta earn it. I have to earn it. You guys have to earn it. And we saw the conversations become more and more friendlier as the years went along. We saw.
And then one other story I know you're probably have to go somewhere, but one other story I wanted to mention was I really enjoyed being part. I cover football in the fall. I cover Penn State football in the fall, and then Villanova basketball when that football's over. But being able to miss a game the weekend of the Hall of Fame ceremony was just really a treat for me. Just being there after covering Coach. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, covering Coach Wright for all these years. Trying to get up there, and they let me go. I skipped the football game that week and spent the weekend up there, and it was just a great experience, because when you cover a guy for so long, but you think of him like this exalted state. He's just a guy. Players are just guys, but when you're recognized like that, obviously winning 2 national championships is, that's the stratosphere. I mean, a lot of coaches haven't won.
Great coaches.
So, but then you think, well, maybe he is a Hall of Famer. He was won 2 national championships, and sure enough, like, boom, a couple of years later, he makes it into the Hall of Fame, and you're lucky you have a chance to see that. And I was, very thankful for a chance to have to cover that, because, it's been a lot of, I've watched him for a lot of years, and it was really interesting. I talked about me being uncomfortable when Coach Wright honored me on my retirement, but I know how uncomfortable he was sitting among like the greats of basketball, now
Yeah.
part of that club. And I thought that was really cool.
It was so cool. Never did I imagine or think that I would get an opportunity to have played for a Hall of Fame coach. I guess that's not something players look at. I think you think, hopefully one day I can be, have an opportunity to make it there, or maybe one day I'll be able to play for a coach who already is a Hall of Fame coach. It's already established. They're already known, like a Bill Belichick. No, one of those great coaches, Coach K.
Sure. Yeah.
But to play for a coach that you believe in, see where they are, see their potential, but then actually see it just come into fruition is amazing. We all feel, I'm sure, like as players, we've had some success in that, and I think Coach did. He gave us the best gift you can give anyone, I guess. By having a jersey there with all of his former players' names on it. So every one of his former players' names are also in the Hall of Fame. I thought that was so cool. I didn't even ask him if they asked him if he wanted to do that, but I'm sure that obviously that was on him. Like that's not even a question. Coach is always going to give others the credit, and that's also something I'm sure you've heard millions of times before interviewing him or the players. We give them credit. I'm sure you probably start with that line. We give them credit, and that's what you have to do. You be very respectful of our opponents and the people that we work with. But for him doing that, us seeing that, I shared it with a bunch of my former teammates, posted it. It just shows Coach is about, not about everyone else, not himself. And I think that's why he's become so successful by just trying to put other people on, so to speak, and see other people help other people become successful, has driven his own success in ways that many haven't reached. So I was so excited that and honored for him to invite all of us, like the Villanova community. It wasn't just a selected few. They invited whoever can come out and who's a part of this, and hosted a party at the end of it at the Hall of Fame. It was probably I would say it was probably the 5th best Villanova highlight I think I've had. I want to say the first one was my first college game. I would say I had when the team, the year that I was out with the team, when we went to the Elite Eight, that was a moment for us. I want to say when I came back after 2 ACLs, that was another special Villanova moment. And my last game, it was a grueling year, Villanova moment. And then that, Coach Wright going into the Hall of Fame. So those are my I want to say one more. And being at Alan Ray's retirement, his jersey retirement. I want to say those are the 6 special Villanova moments that I truly remember that I feel like just help, with the program, everything we've done, those moments tied a lot of the things together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. That's pretty nice.
Awesome. Yeah. But Joe, I'm so thankful that you came on the show. Like I said, I only had you for 1 year when you were able to cover us. But you had to go watch AI. But I just want to say, hey, enjoy your retirement. You've done a great job covering Villanova, the Sixers, Penn State, and again, I'm sure Coach Wright's words, at that press conference were all true. I'm sure he meant every word of it. And again, once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat, and it sounds like you are a Wildcat. Well, you got to end with Coach Wright. You got to end with Mike Sheridan. Yeah. We know how the Villanova community is, very, very close. And, I'm sure we're going to be missed, Joe. Definitely. Yeah.
Curtis, thanks for those great words. I appreciate it. And continued success to you. It was great talking to you. I kind of wish we had done this when you were a player, but it was great to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. Happy New Year. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you soon. Go Cats.
Thanks very much. Take care.